Hey, you! I'm your nutrition coach. My name is Jackie Poole. Welcome to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Let's get today's episode started. Hello. Welcome back, my friends. So glad you are here. Back to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Today, we are tackling a topic that may be a little controversial, but I think is perfect for the season. If you're just we're already in summer. I'm recording this the last week of April, and this won't roll out till the midst of May. And so if you're still not feeling yourself, need a little protocol at the end, stay tuned. At the end of the episode, you will get like a 2-week protocol of what to do for like 2 weeks straight, so you see results. And we are going to be focusing on how to use cardio to lose fat without becoming like a cardio bunny, right? Or a sacrificing muscle. Today, I really want to back it up with some research, with some science, especially because I've been hearing Dr. Bill Campbell on a few episodes of podcasts that I listen to, that I love listening to, and they brought him in. And I really like the way he talks about things. And so he is somebody that's done research on many, many women, thousands of women, and right now he's like focusing on like menopause and things like that. So his research is based on focusing on fat loss, right? And physique enhancements and changing how we look at sustainability and keeping a good body composition without compromising our health, our muscle, and just feeling good in our own body. So I really like what he's, talked about. And I've heard him a few times where I went and just kind of dug into some things that I thought, I always say building muscle is the best way to burn body fat. And something that he said was the absolutely best way to lose fat is doing cardio. And so I really want to break that down and see where we want to go, how to do it, what's the right amount. And so I think today, whether you're somebody that's lifting regularly, or you're dialing on your meals, or maybe you're just feeling stuck on your fat loss journey, I think this would be a really great episode to kind of give you that clarity. And again, if you stay towards the end, I will be giving a kind of like a 2-week protocol to kind of kickstart those results and get you looking really good for the rest of the summer. Okay, so right now I'm actually drinking my matcha tea or my matcha latte. So if you hear me slurping on something, that is it. So let's start with why cardio still matters for fat loss. Like I said earlier, I used to say, or I still say, that the best way to lose fat is to build muscle, but for faster results, better results as far as getting leaner, cardio still works. And so cardio helps burn calories. It really improves insulin sensitivity and can really accelerate fat loss when combined again with a really solid training program and nutrition plan, right? So cardio is just really another tool that we have in our toolbox. Is not the actual whole toolbox. So based on Dr. Campbell's work and what I've heard from his other podcast, when women followed like a really good resistance training program, combined with, again, higher protein intake, they lost more fat and maintained a more lean mass, even when adding cardio, right? So cardio is not the problem, is really how you do it. And so the right type of cardio matters for the right goal. So I really want to break that down because I've talked about doing fasted morning walks, how I used to do that. And with me moving right now, that's actually not a ideal thing because one, it's super dark in my neighborhood. It's kind of scary to go at 5 a.m. And two, I'm not home. And so I don't want to just kind of leave my kiddos every single day in the morning and do that. And so I have those obstacles, right? And I like to eat breakfast before my workouts. And so my fasted steady cardio is not doable right now, but that would be on my top to-do list, right? On my if you're going to do cardio, that would be it. It would be steady state cardio. So it is great for increasing overall energy expenditure without really spiking any stress, any cortisol. And again, if you're going to do that, it would be great to do it in the morning, just because naturally your cortisol is already kind of getting higher as you're waking up in the day. So that would be the best bet to do it as far as steady state cardio. The next type of cardio that there is would be HIIT, right? So that is currently what I'm doing on Thursdays. I'm doing like a burst of energy. I'm walking 3 minutes. I'm running 4 minutes. That is my type of HIIT that I'm doing. It's just quick, short burst. And honestly, I do like 25 minutes on the treadmill with that. And that is my exercise for the day, right? But if your recovery is off, it can really backfire, right? So I make sure that I feel good, that I feed my body the right nutrients, that I had a good night's sleep, that I do red light therapy before I go do the HIIT intensive runs, because they're definitely something that I'm working and pushing. And, now that the watches kind of rate the runs, every time I'm doing this, it rates it from like a 5 to a 6. So the moderate intensity of this is pretty, high. So you want to make sure that you are well rested, that you are well fed, because it really can backfire. And so next would be just walking or incline walking. Again, it's just going on walks. And this could be as easily as adding it to after every meal, right? It's really an underrated fat loss weapon that I cannot state enough how good this is for, again, fat loss, insulin sensitivity. To add it after every meal that you're eating, just go for like a 5-10 minute walk, go to the mail. Walking is just the perfect thing that you can add. And the other day I was listening to a podcast, like if you're sitting down for 8 hours of a day, like that is detrimental for your health. Like that is not good for longevity. You need to be getting up at least like every hour, maybe pumping up some squats, taking a few steps, walking around your desk, doing some calf raises, something to keep you mobile, right? And I think walking is such a simple tool that you can use. You don't have to train, you don't have to change clothes. It's something that you can do already. Especially in the mornings right now in Texas is the best time to go, because the afternoons it starts getting really hot. It's scorching hot. And so we are right now before those times. So walking is just something that it's really doable and anybody can add to their regular routine. And, based on what I've heard, and read from Dr. Campbell's research, like he definitely backs this up too. It's validating what I've always said for a really long time. Cardio doesn't have to be extreme to be effective, right? As long as you're staying consistent, you're recovering, and the intensity depending on how you feel, it makes a huge difference. And again, you don't have to do hours of it, right? I think I've explained this before, like I've really dialed down on my morning fasted walks. I was doing, the month of March, I was trying to hit like 12,000 steps. So I was doing, my morning walks in the mornings and trying to get those done. And I think I was definitely maybe overdoing it. And I'm not nearly hitting my 12,000 steps these days. And I I am seeing ribs, like I am seeing, a little bit of abs on my abdominal area. I am getting stronger. So I've definitely cut the intensity of my morning walks way down, and I literally do. On Tuesdays, I go for a 5-mile run, and then on Thursdays, I go for my sprint run, and that's literally like one day is 40 minutes and the other day is 25 minutes. And so I've managed to that's literally the exercise that I do, unless I'm walking my dog that I dog sit, Rosie, but honestly her walks are very like minimal. Like she's sniffing around. It's not like I'm getting my heart rate. I'm just literally stepping outside and moving here and there. I wouldn't even consider that walks, and it's less than a mile, right? So I've actually cut down way less on the steady state cardio and added a little bit more of, I guess, HIIT cardio, and definitely time base, it's been way less than what I used to do, and I'm seeing a lot more better results. So it definitely does matter, the recovery of it, the intensity of it, and how consistent you are, right? I cut down from like 6 days a week to 2 days a week, but the intensity has come up quite a bit. So it definitely just does make a difference. But something that I do want to mention is protecting your muscle. Here's why. Again, I've been talking a lot about Dr. Campbell because he's been popping off on a lot of podcasts that I've been listening to. And so he talked about an 8-week study on women that he did like a calorie deficit. And so based on what he said that this group maintained a high protein intake, which again, they did on the protocol 1 gram per body weight, and they did resistance training 3 to 4 times a week, which honestly, like, this is the regimen that I kind of follow, right? I actually do a little bit more protein, but the workouts that I give my clients, the workouts that I do myself, they're 3 times a week. Definitely doable, and we can definitely scale back if you need to. It doesn't have to start there, but minimal is 3 based on the study that they did. And so again, calorie deficit, they kept almost all of their lean mass, even though they did a calorie deficit, but they did drop significantly amount of fat. So that is the key, right? Protein intake and resistance training, and then just sprinkling that cardio wherever it needs to be. So that is the golden ratio. So if you're thinking like, I want to look lean, I want to lean out, but I don't want to look, I want to look right, this would be the formula, right? You want to prioritize strength. You want to keep protein high. You want to layer in strategic cardio, but we don't want to sleep on managing stress, recovery, sleep, digestion. Like all of those things matter, right? And honestly, I think that should be at the top, so focus on sleep, managing stress, digestion, and recovery. And then we want to prioritize protein. And then we want to focus on strength. And then we can layer cardio. So that would be the order of priority as I see those fit, based on the people that I've worked with, because most people know what to do, right? Oh, I just got to eat less. I got to eat whole foods. I got to work out. But then they let go of really the things that matter as far as like sleep, managing stress, recovery. They go all out. And so we don't want to do that, right? Because that can cause cardio to be something more of a stress. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just kind of rambling on right now. So yeah, I do want to talk about this 2-week smart fat loss protocol that it was inspired by Dr. Campbell. And so let's move on to that. Okay, before I start with this Too Smart Fat Loss Protocol, I'm eager to share with you guys. I do want to remind you that I recently became a certified personal trainer. And so I will be taking in-person training clients starting June 22nd. And so the location will be in Katy/Houston. We can either do sessions privately in a garage gym that I will have decked out and have all the equipment necessary, or we can go to any crunch gym that is near your area or you feel comfortable in. But I just want to announce that because it is something that I am definitely passionate about, getting stronger, setting goals. And so if you're struggling with nutrition, I honestly recommend to start with the habitual sunrise map, and I will be including the personal training sessions in with that, along with everything else that comes with the nutrition protocol, which is a 3-month program, and so much that comes with that, so much support, and the changes that I've seen in the clients that I've made. It is something that makes me so happy, and I really see the value of getting a coach because it really makes a difference in how we change our perspective in sticking to our choices. I'm not just telling you what to do, I'm really creating this lifestyle that you want to have. And the most important thing is that it's sustainable. It's not something that you were going to do and then we're going to go back, you're going to fall off, because you will have that support from me. So I do want to remind you here, in case you're interested, this is the time to start. Summer's a perfect time. A lot of people have more time off. They have a little bit more time. And so I always like to extend the invitation to at least just have a talk and see where I can help you. Oh, I was thirsty. Okay, the 2-week SMART fat loss protocol, inspired by Mr. Campbell. I actually don't know how he looks, but again, I've just been listening to him and he resonates with everything that I say lately. And so he was recently in Max Lugavere's episode podcast, and so I was like, that's like the 3rd time I listened to him, and he's been on like different other podcasts that I've enjoy. And so again, this is something that I was like, okay, when he said that, I was like, that definitely kind of opened my mind a little bit, because I'm always like, build muscle and it will help you burn fat. But if you're somebody that's like has a deadline, has a goal, or really just wants to see results a little bit more quicker, then sprinkling this on. And I've seen it with me changing how I was doing cardio, right? So I've changed the process on how I was doing it, and it's made such a big difference that I really wanted to talk about it today. So let's start with the protocol, okay? Let's apply some of the science that comes along and that you can implement this week. So week 1 and week 2, here are the golden nuggets that you want to take away, right? So you want to lift, again, 3 to 4 days a week. You can do an upper body, lower body split. Honestly, how I do things is full body 3 times a day, because as a mom, it's kind of, if you miss a day, at least you hit the body, like every single body group every single day that you worked out. So it's, for me as a mom, that is the best way to go. Unless you're somebody that's super consistent and doesn't miss, then you can definitely do like an upper lower body split, or I've seen push pull split, or like something like that. But honestly, I've really learned to love the full body routine 3 days a week, because it's perfect. Because if I miss a day, I still hit all the body groups. It's not like I'm missing, like, oh, I did upper body and I got sick and I didn't do lower body the next day or the following week. And so now you go back to doing upper body, and then you miss the whole lower body. So for me, it's just easier, and that's something that I just give my clients all the time. Like, just do full body, because it is honestly the most sustainable thing that I can think of, and we just focus on progressive overload, right? And so keeping the sessions 60 minutes, like right now I'm doing my Muscle Mommy program, and the workouts are usually about an hour, and so I really like that. I kind of feel like I'm just going in and out, and that's not including like sauna and red light if I'm like doing those, right? But that definitely works for me, and I've seen it work for my clients because it's just more feasible. Also, we want to focus on big lifts, right? We want to focus on squatting. We want to focus on, if you're, really wanting to focus on lower body, hip thrust, rows, presses. All of these compound lifts really translate to functional lifestyle things. So we want to focus on those lifts as well. And so those are also included in the programs that I do. You want to aim for protein, 0.08 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, based on the studies that Mr. Campbell talked about. And why you want to do that? Because it really helps preserve muscle mass, especially if you're on a deficit. This week, I actually started my lean from Make Wellness. So I know I'm in a calorie deficit again. And with that being said, I want to make sure I'm hitting my protein. And the lean just helps me manage being on a calorie deficit. When you're on a calorie deficit, some people get a lot more cravings, a lot more urges, and it can also be psychological, because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't have this, or I'm eating less. So it kind of backfires both ways. But with lean, I've really found it to be super helpful with managing the cravings. And again, it's working for reducing, hunger, cravings. It helps diminish like visceral fat. So I really enjoyed taking that these past couple of days, and it's made a huge difference on those cravings. And so I only take half of the dose that is required, so it's gonna last me like 2 months. And so I really like that for when you are in a deficit, but you also want to make sure that you are hitting that protein aim for your body weight, right? For your goal. And so lift 3 to 4 times a week, aim for protein, and then again, you want to do moderate, steady state cardio. You want to do this maybe 2 times a week, if you can 3 times a week. And again, this can be morning fasted walks, 20 to 30 minutes. You can do incline. You can do it done like post lifting, like after you're done, lifting session, or you can do it after your meals. But other than that, I would say 2 to 3 times a week if you can do that. I do this on Saturdays, along with the other things that I'm doing, right? So I do cardio, like intentional cardio, 3 times a week. And so 2 to 3 times a week, moderate, steady state cardio. I would add that and sprinkle that into your week. A short hit. You can do this once. If you have more time, twice. But as a mom, I know we're busy, right? So we want to keep it quick as possible. Short hit workouts I love from Fit On, but again, for me, I'm just doing sprints since I'm working on my runs. And this can look various different weights. This can be with weights, this can be body weight. And so if you're needing a little bit more help with your HIIT programming, definitely hit me up and we can maybe try to figure something out for you. But doing this once, twice a week, 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be super long. And so, yeah, just make sure you're recovering and feeding your body. And HIIT is really great because if you're really getting your heart rate running, you are definitely burning body fat for the rest of the day, right? And so the last golden nugget here would be just taking daily, steps throughout the day. So as I mentioned earlier, I was doing about 12,000 and I felt like I was really working towards that goal. But right now I've scaled back. But you should be able, if you're really working towards a fat loss goal, you want to make sure you're taking about 8 to 10,000 steps a day. And this is kind of like that invisible cardio, right? Which it really adds up over a big amount of time. So I wanted to add this in here because it's important to be mobile throughout the day. And as I talked about earlier, even just every hour, doing a couple squats, moving throughout the day, going to the mail, parking further from your car or from work, from the grocery store, like all of those things really add up over a big time. And that might be a huge difference in one day, but think about it like in a year, it just adds up without a lot of effort from your part. And so that's what's really neat about it. And so lastly here, you want to make sure, which again, I should have put this first, you want to make sure you're hydrating. You want to make sure you're sleeping well. We really want to make sure that our nervous system is helping us in your fat loss, and we're making it easy for our body to let go of the fat, right? If we are constantly sleep deprived, if we are not hydrating ourselves, if we are not managing stress, and again, that doesn't mean getting rid of things, right? Sometimes life happens, but learning to manage it makes such a big difference, and it really allows our body to know that it's safe, and that it's okay to release the fat, and not hold on to it, right? We're not in a flight or fight mode all the time that is just kind of holding on to our fat because it's thinking that it's in danger, we need this for survival. And so it makes a big difference when our nervous system is synced with our goals and the way we are trying to approach this, right? But it's key to apply all of these things that we talked about so our body does feel safe to release the fat that we don't need or want. And so what you'll notice in the next, 14 days, let's say you do this for 2 weeks straight, when you follow this strategy, you don't just look smaller, right? You definitely look more defined. I can guarantee your energy is going to go up. This mind shift of dieting, we want to make sure we are focusing on kind of like building and chipping that body that we want. And most importantly, stop fearing weights, and not over obsessing on the cardio. Stop being a cardio bunny. And this is a reminder for myself too, like obsessing over on the scale, because it can definitely be very powerful. I've recently gained about 5 pounds, but you guys, like, I actually dropped a size in pants. I am at size 2 for my waist, but I weigh more. So how crazy is that, right? The power of the scale can definitely be tricky because we're so used to, seeing our results with the scale. And so that definitely, it's a reminder for myself. It can be a little trippy, like, how do I weigh more and I'm smaller? Like, how is that possible, right? But the thing is, the scale doesn't measure the muscle mass, your fat mass. And so it's very important to focus on other things that come with putting a great program for you together. So I hope all of these things that you do, if you stick to them for a week, like, I would take pictures, I would measure your body fat, I would do body measurements. And, again, I have a protocol that I do with my clients, and we track this if you're wanting to focus on doing it more than 14 days. But if you stick with it for the 14 days, your clothes are going to fit better. You're going to look more defined. I can guarantee you there's going to be less water retention, right? So more consistency with the protein in your meals and the movement. You're going to feel a lot more motivated. You're going to start seeing the results and you're not going to feel super restricted, right? And so again, I talked about all of these things. There's tools, cardio is a tool. Lean from Make Wellness is a tool. Strength training is a tool. All of these things really matter in your goal of losing fat, right? So I want to make sure that it's not just one thing. Even though we talked about cardio today and how important it is important not to feel restricted or to overdo it. So this might feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of these things, but planning it out and saying this day I'm doing this day I'm doing that, and just doing a little bit at a time and seeing how you feel, right? And if all of this is really overwhelming for you, then pick just one thing. Right? It doesn't, like, if you're not doing anything, pick one thing, whether it's, okay, I'm going to focus on strength training, or I'm just going to do, the HIIT workouts that she talked about, and I'm just going to do that 2 times a week. Or, I'm just going to make sure that I'm hitting those 10,000 steps, because right now I'm only hitting like 3,000 a day, right? So that's a big jump. And so just focusing on one thing, if you're feeling like that might be overwhelming. But again, I put this out because if you're like, okay, I want to see real results in 2 weeks, I'm going to do all of these things and put the protocol to play. And so it does make a difference. So let's just wrap this up because I'm just rambling on today. So the truth is, cardio should be your ally, should be your friend, not your enemy. And again, with the guidance that I've really liked Dr. Campbell's work. Like, again, I've mentioned him quite a bit of times today, but his approach seems really doable, and it just resonated so much that I really wanted to incorporate that in today's protocol. And so in this approach of losing fat, right? Because we want to be in a healthy, sustainable weight. But we want to focus on not having too much fat mass, because it does make a difference in our health. And so this approach definitely helps being, it gives you empowerment, it's effective, and the key thing here is freaking sustainable. So if you want help, applying this to your own lifestyle, to your goals, to your schedule, let's have a discovery call. Shoot me a message on Instagram. If you have any questions or something that you would like to talk about, you have that. Send me a text message on top of the show notes. But yeah, you don't have to guess. Today is just a quick bit tip on what you can do for the next 2 weeks. And you just need a plan that works with you and not against you. So until next time, I want you to keep moving. Again, find your purpose, fuel your body, feel like, you love yourself and you're not punishing yourself. And I want to remind you that you got this. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.